When the fighting in the north is over, someone wins. You understand that, don't you? I pledged to ride north. I intend to honor that pledge.
Hey everybody, so you requested a Jaime Season 8 video. We have a pretty good idea based on the way he ended Season 7, where he's going to pick up in Season 8, in the role that he's going to fill in the War for the Dawn, like where he's going to slot into Jon and Daenerys' army, as well as what his possible endgames are. There are a number of great theories, but I think a couple of them will pay off. And if you are finding me for the first time, be sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss any of the videos. We'll be doing bonus videos every week till Season 8 gets here, and when book stuff gets here, I'll address that at the end of the video. The book videos will be a little bit different. But starting with Jaime at the end of Season 7, how great were those final scenes with Cersei? There were so many people cheering in my timeline that were just so ready for this moment to happen for the last couple of seasons. But they kept him with Cersei for so long, I think to keep that King's Landing story as interesting as possible. Because in the books, the last time that they have sex and the last time they're physically together is over Joffrey's dead body. After that, Jaime has had enough of her and he takes off. That's the end of it. The last that Cersei hears from him is right after her atonement walk during Dance with Dragons. She's sort of sitting there. She gets word that Jaime's been seen riding around the Riverlands with a woman who turns out is Brienne of Tarth, who's on her mission for Lady Stoneheart. So obviously Lady Stoneheart isn't on the TV show. There's a bunch of big changes, so I'll address that later in the video. We'll stick to show stuff for now. But as Jaime said, he's keeping his promise, so he's riding north to Winterfell. The reason he covers his hand up is mostly so other people won't recognize him as Jaime Lannister. Like, think about the last time he was taken upon by brigands on the road when he was with Brienne of Tarth. That's when he wound up losing his hand. So that's not something that he wants to happen again. And it's also sort of symbolic, like he's covering up the gold, like he's covering up the Lannister parts of himself. But I actually don't think that he's going to make it to Winterfell in the first episode because there'll be so many Stark reunions happening. I think that'll be like Jon and Daenerys arriving at Winterfell, so you get the Arya-Jon reunion, you get all that awkward comedy of Daenerys meeting the family, you might even get that incest bomb reveal. So I think they'll save Jaime Lannister arriving at Winterfell and all those reunions for episode 2. So there are a couple really big ones. I don't think that they'll have too many Jaime moments with all of the characters, just the ones that are meaningful for him. So you have Jaime and Tyrion. You have to imagine that Tyrion will just give him a shrug like, oh, you finally left the witch. And Jaime will just shrug and say, yeah, I finally did the thing. Let's get to business. So Tyrion is Daenerys' strategist. Jaime will probably become their battle commander on the ground. Whether you believe the show or not, the narrative this season is that he's actually pretty good at leading armies on the battlefield, and Tyrion isn't somebody that's going to ride around at a horse at the front of the army. He'll probably develop a plan with Jaime. Jaime will be the guy on the ground, while Jon Snow and Daenerys are in the sky on the dragons. Rewind back to this season here where he's talking to the Lannister generals, trying to organize them as they go north. Like, we don't have time, we all have to get up there, and Cersei's like, what the hell are you doing? We're not going north. So I think when Jaime's riding up by himself, that's it. He's not taking any of the army with him. He's not even wearing his traditional armor, meaning very big possibility that he could be wearing Targaryen armor when he shows up during Season 8. Wouldn't that be fitting? He was wearing Targaryen king's armor when he killed the Mad King. If he winds up killing Cersei wearing the same type of armor, it would be so poetic, but that's sort of jumping forward a little too much. Jaime arrives at Winterfell. He has the reunion with Tyrion. They sort of deal with the matters at hand after they get through the pleasantries. You have that awesome reunion with Brienne. Gwendolyn Christie was saying a lot of funny things about this King's Landing scene here too. When she was stuck with Cersei and Jaime, she said that that was Brienne's own personal hell. Even though people want to see them together, it's all about the Army of the Dead this season, so they didn't really have any scenes addressing their chemistry. But that'll still be there. But the whole thing is I have a very specific endgame in mind for Jaime if he does survive, which I hope that he does, but he kind of narrated his ending, like when he told Brienne, I want to die in the arms of the person that I love, only now it seems like the person he loves is going to be Brienne. We'll circle back around to Jaime endgame in a second. There are like two big possibilities, but then probably the best Jaime reunion at Winterfell, like we've talked about before, is Bran Stark. Bran isn't petty, he'll be all weird with him again, and Jaime will be all awkward. Hey, remember that last time we were together? The last time they were in the same room together was when he pushed him out the window. They haven't been seen together ever since then. So a lot of you have asked the follow-up question, does Jaime know that Bran is alive? Because they didn't even send a raven to Winterfell before Bran got there. So have Cersei's little birds informed her about what's going on at Winterfell? I would stand to reason that if Cersei knows very specific information about what's happening at Dragonstone all of Season 7 and what's happening all over the kingdom, then it's a pretty good assumption that she knows most of what's going on at Winterfell. She probably heard about Littlefinger dying, but I do think that they want to preserve the surprise on Jaime's face when he sees Bran again for the first time. And don't forget that Jaime has to formally bend the knee to Daenerys and Jon Snow, so they'll obviously have that moment. And if you've forgotten, there was actually a huge scene in the second episode where he's talking to Jon Snow about him taking the vows of the Night's Watch. So I think it's very prophetic and a hat tip for a very possible ending for Jaime's character at the end of the story. So check this out for context and you'll see, just think about all the things that have happened since this moment here.
Sword for the wall.
I already have one.
Good man. Have you swung it yet?
Of course I have.
At someone, I mean. It's a strange thing, the first time you cut a man. Realize we're nothing but sacks of meat and blood and some bone to keep it all standing. Let me thank you ahead of time, guarding us all from the perils beyond the wall, wildlings and white walkers and whatnot. We're grateful to have good, strong men like you protecting us.
We've guarded the kingdoms for 8,000 years.
Is it we already? Have you taken your vows then?
Soon enough.
Give my regards to the Night's Watch. I'm sure it will be thrilling to serve in such an elite force. And if not, it's only for life.
Such a great scene given the things that have changed up to this point. So Jon Snow has protected the realms of men. He's lived up to his promise, and the White Walkers have come. Jaime sounds like he totally didn't believe it when he was talking about all those things. Like White Walkers beyond the wall, that just sounds like crazy. His right hand has now been cut off. It's gold, so that's why they zoomed up on his hand back here during the first season. And the way he talks about the Night's Watch, enjoy yourself, it's only for life, have fun taking up this noble cause, is sort of a reference for the arc of Jaime's character. So first big endgame theory that doesn't involve him dying during the battle with the Night King is him becoming the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Think about everything that Jaime sacrificed at the end of the finale here. He was the head of the Lannister army, one of the most powerful people in the kingdom, getting ready to have a child with Cersei, not that I think that child will actually be born, but he gave it all up to ride north to sacrifice himself for a greater cause. So one of the two possible endings, not including Valonqar, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about after all that stuff is done, like what is he actually doing? He becomes the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. So that is why I am really hoping that he survives. The other possible ending, he does wind up dying in Brienne's arms, and it's Ser Jorah that becomes the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and a nice mirror for his father. Ser Jorah and Jaime were both these very selfish people at the beginning of the story who have since come all the way back around, and now they're tripping hand over feet to sacrifice themselves to save the realm from the Night King. But I don't think that Cersei dies on the TV show without Jaime being in proximity, or as a direct result of something that Jaime does is a sort of backdoor fulfillment of the Valonqar prophecy. Remember, it has to be the little brother, so there are a lot of theories about how the Valonqar will go down. I'll do a separate video about that, but just remember the way the TV show has gone back to Season 1 referencing those moments. So obviously there'll be a sort of wink at that when he has the reunion with Jon Snow. But do you think in the way the show repeats itself, it'll be prophetic? Jaime will take up the honorable cause, as he tells Jon Snow back here during Season 1, of the Night's Watch eventually. Now again, that's jumping way further ahead in the story. There's so much that has to happen before then, but there's only 6 episodes, so I'm not expecting him to get moments with every single character at Winterfell, just the ones I mentioned, like Tyrion, Brienne, Bran Stark, Jon Snow, and Daenerys, and then again with Cersei before she winds up dying. So just leave all your requests for bonus videos in the comments below. There'll be a new Q&A on Tuesday like I would normally do, but I'll post a new video tomorrow. And because there's a lot of new TV that's starting in a little while, let me know if you want me to do Star Trek videos. Westworld hasn't quite started yet, but they've started to do interviews, so I might do a new Westworld Season 2 video soon. But congratulations to the latest HBO Now giveaway winner, TLM. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to learn all about the Golden Company Jon Snow theory, and you can click here for all my other Season 8 videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.